to greencardguys.tv. You need to know this. Do not give up on your legal status. Many people fail to respond to RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our CARES team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. All right, how y'all doing? My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in the United States with a physical office in Houston, Texas. You can find us on Google. We have a physical office. Come on down, come visit. All right, we got some pretty good food in Houston. I was a little skeptical because I'm from Dallas area, but here to answer your questions, folks. Okay. I've met a lot of y'all, chatted with a lot of y'all, answered your questions. Some of y'all new, so welcome. You're welcome to drop in the chat box in your respective platform your question. Today's topic to start off, okay, is about sponsoring employees. So you could be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're currently in the process of get your resident status. And as soon as you get that resident status, maybe you want to further that American dream and start your own company. And when you start your own company, you're probably going to need a workforce, right? A team. So this also can be helpful to you if that's you. Okay. Of course, after that topic, then happy to answer any questions. So here we go. Tip number 1. Okay. H-1B season just passed, at least the window period in March. A lot of y'all did not get selected. It's very unfortunate that they have this lottery situation, especially when people have already paid thousands of dollars into the United States educational system and it's left up to a freaking lottery with USCIS. Now, don't give up complete hope. There could be a second round. Maybe. I can't promise to you. The past couple of years, if I recall correctly, there was at least a second round. It was either in July or October, around then. So it could happen again, but it might not. And if you're wondering why could there be an interview? I mean, not interview, a second lottery is even though you don't have to register anymore. The registration period already closed. That was in March. Okay. And there could be another release of what do you call like applicants that get selected is because whoever did get selected this past month, okay, the first week of April, but maybe the company is not sponsoring that person anymore. It could have been mutual. Maybe that person doesn't want to be in America anymore. Maybe they got a job offer from someone else. Okay, so don't give up complete hope. There's still a possibility. And I mention that because if you lose touch with your the company or the attorney, maybe the company could be willing to sponsor you again once the attorney gets the notification that you may have been selected or you have been selected. So I know it might sound strange, but keep good relations. Don't give the company a middle finger, or if you are the company, you're the entrepreneur, the owner, don't give your lawyer the middle finger. It is what it is. It's the process. Attorneys don't control the process in terms of USAS. So just keep that in mind. So keep good relations. Hey, congratulations, Adriana. You're welcome. Happy to help. Let me screenshot that. That's cool. We'll be in touch with you, okay? Thank you so much for your trust, Adriana. That's great news. It's great to see clients on the live shows. Really appreciate. Always looking for feedback, Adriana. So please share it with our team once they reach out to you. Okay. So, so I guess that's really tip number 1. Make sure you can maintain good relations. Okay. Tip number 2 is that in terms of not giving up, you could be eligible for something else, some other visa. It could be O1 visa, L1 visa. Now, L1's a little bit more, how do you say this? A little bit more involved. Okay. There's more requirements. I mean, they all have a lot of requirements, of course, but I can go into more detail in terms of each visa's requirements in a webinar session. But I'm also here to really answer your questions. Okay. So if you're interested in a webinar in the sense that you're wondering, well, am I qualified now or could I be qualified for a visa in the future? Please send us a DM. I know it's a lot easier on TikTok and Instagram My other phone died. I forgot to charge it. So I know it's a little bit more difficult on YouTube. But if you're on YouTube or Facebook, send us a message or a comment wherever you can, and we'll make sure to invite you in the future. Okay. So here's the deal. Now, tip number three. Okay, if you're, let's say you have a company, you're an entrepreneur, or you're an HR department, and you want to sponsor, or you're considering to sponsor someone, it could be a lot of different scenarios where you get a hold of an applicant's name or a potential applicant's name. Maybe it's your neighbor. And then your neighbor's adult kid now. They just graduated college or something. Maybe you want to switch jobs, and you find out like, oh, at some point in the conversation, you find out, oh, this person is here with a non-immigrant visa. Timing is very, very important, especially in terms of action plan, because if someone maybe just got fired, laid off, and they have 60-day grace period, that's not much time. Especially the companies I know and different business groups I'm in, the peer accountability groups, we tend to have a longer interview process. So I don't want to call it like I don't want to encourage to say skip the process of whatever you currently have, but I highly encourage if you already know that this person, this applicant is, like got the work experience and you know the person's character, possibly work ethic, you may want to find a way to expedite the process a bit more. Alrighty. So, um, so that's something else to know. Now, the last tip in terms of employment that I'm happy to go into answering questions. Okay. Um, now, if you're just going to sponsor someone to be an employee, right, to get the residency, it's very important, especially if you're HR, human resources, it's very important to have the job description ironclad. Like some people think, like, oh, let me just copy and paste. Let me just ask Chat GPT, um, what's it called, the Genesis. It's kind of what we call like rolling admissions, like in college, I guess. So we're always happy to accept applications, but we're not technically currently hiring. Our team is happy to take a look. Okay, whenever the need comes. Um, yes. By the way, our website does have greencardguys.com does have a career page, so you can definitely, even if you're not sure like the position or the position not what you were seeking, just hit apply. It's okay. And of course mention what you're thinking to apply for. Um, yeah, so if you're sponsoring an employee, especially for residency, even for actually H-1B as well, the job description, specifically job duties and the and minimum requirements is very, very important. Okay, because just sharing this also because we've had some misunderstandings, and I'm going to improve our processes and how clients and especially employer clients understand why this is important. So I'm here also live on LinkedIn, so I wanted to share that. So if you already have an immigration law firm helping you and you're wondering why the heck are they asking me so many questions early on the stage, this is why. Because you don't want to go through the process. You paid all these fees to the attorney and the law firm and the USCIS, and 1 to 2 years have passed, and then your law firm, your attorney comes talks to you and say, "I told you so. Like we should have updated it differently. Gave you some recommendations that you didn't want to follow through with those recommendations." There's a reason why you're hiring an attorney. So just please keep that in mind. Please allow some flexibility when you speak, at least with our team. Okay. And if you don't know, especially if you're a client right now, welcome to the show. If you don't know why we're asking some questions, ask. Please ask. We're always happy to explain. Okay. I train my team to be open-minded to explain. Very, very important. All righty. So let me see if any questions here. All right. So I'm gonna hop off LinkedIn. Let me see if this works. Okay, cool. Greetings, folks. Greetings. All right, we got some people on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Thank you so much for asking your questions. I will try my best to answer. Now, again, if you're asking a more general question like, am I eligible for this? How can I get a sponsor? That's a cue that you should DM us and ask for just type in the word webinar, okay, in the topic you're interested in. Because I'm not going to be able to give a lecture on the live show, education purposes, but it's all about sharing information. So, and y'all on TikTok tend to copy and paste your question. Please don't do that because TikTok like forces the feed downwards, so I can only see the most recent. So please don't copy and paste. I'm gonna try my best not to skip anyone. Okay, Jay on TikTok. Are there interviews for removal condition? Yes, there are. It's not for everyone. Not everyone is scheduled for a interview for remove conditions, which is the 751 form. And you say it's been 7 months. You only receive extension. Yeah, for as far as I remember, the extension is for 48 months. And you might say, well, that's great, John, isn't it? Because I get the extension. Yes and no. Yes, more so because you have proof that you're still a resident, a conditional resident. I guess you could say the negative behind that is just understanding the USCIS process is that they're so freaking slow. And they don't need to be that slow. I don't understand. The I 90, 824, the 751, there's really no reason to be that freaking slow. But there you have it. That is the current expectation and reality. Welcome to the show, folks. If you're just now joining, my name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in the United States, helping you solve an immigration problem and maybe even prevent you from having that problem in the first place. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't even have to hire an attorney, authorized attorney. But of course, I'm a little biased. You get a lot more peace of mind if you do hire an attorney, a licensed attorney, not a notary, not a consultant, not your uncle or auntie. Okay. What's up? What's up? All right. Mars, your friend came here as K1 and married for more than 2 years. Okay. Got the GC denied. Ooh, okay. And the husband withdrew it. Ooh, sorry to hear for your friend. So unfortunately, I didn't see a question here, but I have a feeling what that question is. So unfortunately, your friend technically does have to leave the United States because when someone, and assuming this is where example, like, hey, I have to give a disclaimer here. Yes, I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm licensed in the state of Texas. You can check it at texasbar.com. So I'm supposed to tell you this is legal information. So especially if you're asking for a friend, you need to advise your friend to speak to a lawyer one-on-one, immigration attorney one-on-one. Okay. Now there are some attorneys that handle multiple practice areas, different areas of law. I don't recommend that. More power to them. There's just a lot to keep up with immigration, as you could probably imagine when I'm sharing on the live shows. So yeah, that's your question. There you go. Can your friend remarry again? Now, when you say remarry, do you mean marry the same person or marry someone else? If you're saying remarry the same person, then yes, because that visa is specific to that specific sponsor. But if you're saying your friend wants to marry some other homie or significant other, that's not going to work to get status. Unfortunately, that K1 visa is specific to that sponsor. All right, let me switch platforms here. How y'all doing today? Good to see you. On YouTube, Test00007. How long does it take for VAWA cancellation or removal proceedings to complete from the date of VAWA denial? Sorry to hear about the denial. And how soon can you get new removal conditions EAD? Well, let's take it step by step, okay, here. Sounds like you definitely need to speak to an attorney one-on-one because that's a lot of questions. But do you even have court proceedings right now? I think you're asking a lot of questions a bit more like speculating for the future. Okay. So, but if you do get referred to court, the timing of it, the court hearings all depend on the local court. So even if I tell you like, oh, in Houston is X date or X amount of time, that's not going to apply in Houston forever. So So let alone other cities, other courts. I couldn't tell you. But in general, usually court hearings are, if you're not detained, a court hearing, the final hearing could be 1 to 2 years later, even 3 years later, because so many court cases. Okay. Um, Alrighty. Hey, what's up, Roots and Routes? Hey, thanks for the heart on TikTok, Sophia. Really appreciate it. I don't know. Have y'all seen those like live shows where people are like hopping around and trying to jump at something? I don't know if I can be that active, but thanks for the heart. Violet Sky, you say that, hello, your fiance is currently in the I-130 process. His dad petitioned for him Feb 2023. Would it be more effective or faster to go through the K1 visa process instead? Violet, ultimately the fastest way still takes about a year and a half. If your fiance is outside America, it sounds like it's still probably going to be faster because you're saying Feb 2023, is the dad a U.S. citizen or a resident? That would affect the family preference category. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, check out one of my videos on YouTube since that's where you're on, and probably type in Visa Bulletin. You can find that. Okay. But typically, but if you're still a little bit unsure about, that show TL, was it on TLC? I think 90 Day Fiance. If you're still, I know you like love your fiance, but still not sure, then yeah, stick to K1. Okay, in all seriousness, um, because it's just reduces a little bit, of a hassle in the future, a little bit of inconvenience. All right. Okay. Shout out to Adriana Escobar on TikTok. I'm so glad we were able to help your family. You're welcome. Thank you for your trusting in. All right. Now, hey, Marcel, how are you? Let's see. Let me scroll back down here. Try to make sure I don't skip anyone. Okay, here we go. How long does it take for your work permit to arrive after biometric appointment? It's hard to say because every case application form is different, but just generally, I've seen it like 1 month, but generally for most applicants, it's 3 to 5 months after filing the case in general. Okay. What's Naomi, our job sponsorship. Oh, it pinned the wrong one. Okay. Okay, happy boy. How many days you wait for work permit out of asylum reached 180 days? So you have to file the work permit application. So some people might be a little bit confused about that, make an assumption you didn't based on the way you asked the question. So once you reach 180 days of asylum after you filed it, then you file the um, 765 if you haven't filed already. Okay. Um, but by the way, we don't handle asylum. We refer those out. Okay. So if you have questions about more about asylum, one of the attorneys, law firms you could consider, not telling you have to, that you could consider is Brian Manning. He's an asylum attorney. He's probably under the tag on all social media, or you can find on Google political asylum lawyers. Uh, how we help asylum applicants, by the way, is if you've been waiting for 4 years or more, waiting for your interview on asylum, and you, of course, are confident on your claim. Of course, it just ultimately depends on USCIS to make a decision. But if you've been waiting and waiting, every time we file for asylum delay on this, we've got typically on average received the interview date within 1 to 2 months after we filed the lawsuit. And most cases are not that quick, but for asylum, that's pretty quick. Okay. Which is great because still a backlog of asylum cases. Now, of course, would it be just even better if you're able to just contact USCIS and just say, "Hey, buddy, why is my case taking so long?" Yeah, that would be nice, but they don't care. They don't care about your inquiry. You have to sue USCIS. That's the last scenario option. Okay. And by the way, if you're wondering about like, oh, can I contact my congressperson? Sure, you could, but their responsibility is really no responsibility. They're going to help try to get an update for you, but contacting or submit an inquiry with your congressperson or elected official is not a lawsuit. It doesn't push the needle of your case. There's no legal responsibility on your elected official to push your case forward. Alrighty. Okay, Naomi. Are job sponsorships possible for someone who came with a B1, B2, but now in removal proceedings? Yikes, sorry to hear that. Um, a company can start the sponsorship process, but it's not going to be completed in time when you're in removal proceedings. Most likely not. And even if it was completed, the whole process usually for like EB, if that's what you're referring to, employment based for residency, generally takes 2 years minimum. It depends on your country and nationality. It could take even longer, especially for people from China and India. But again, even if your removal proceeding was complete or your job sponsorship process was complete while you're in removal proceedings, you have to show that you maintain status. So that's not going to work. It could work by the time you're outside America, but then you have to apply for a waiver, be eligible for a waiver. There's a lot to consider. Alrighty, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, Hardarsha, you have your naturalization interview tomorrow. I thought I responded to you the other yesterday. I can't remember my answer now. You don't have your passport. I think is this passport is missing. So try to provide some other proof of where you're born. Is my suggestion. That's one thing. But if I recall my answer from the other day for you, is that when I reviewed the interview notice of why they asked, it's one for identification, um, and then also showing entries, okay, or leaving. So if you have other proof of you having left or entered the United States, you want to go to type in Google or Bing, whatever, I-94 CBP. Now, it's not always accurate for every single person, every traveler, passenger, because we just did it for a client yesterday, and it showed an entry from like 10 years ago, even though that client just left and came back like a year ago or less. Um, so yeah, I mean, but it's at least a starting point. And the alternative is checking your email for your confirmation, travel confirmation. Even if it's not a flight and you deleted that for some reason, then try with the hotel confirmation, something. Okay. Okay, let me switch over here. Work, pray, and hustle TV. Can I talk about SIG and how long it takes here in New York? That's more for a webinar, but yes, a short answer in general. SIJS, Special Immigrant Juvenile Visa. This is the main requirement among many things is that you have to show that one of your parents um, abandoned or abused you or neglected you. Okay, and it's just generally a 2 to 3 step process. The very first step is having to get a family court order to indicate that information that I just mentioned in the family court order. Okay. And step two is to file that petition, I-360, one after another. Okay. But again, this if you're interested in more details, so for something like that, again, that's more of a lesson, like long lesson. So send us a DM and we can schedule something out for y'all. Okay. Hope you're all doing well today. Thank you so much for your questions. Mac asked, you haven't received your DACA receipt. It's been 20 days. We generally say in general, we say an experience, not just say. It's about any application. It's generally 3 to 5 weeks to get a receipt notice. So 20 days, it's, I know. You would think they have a faster way, just email you, but not necessarily. Unless you filed online, maybe. Okay. Sheila, thanks, Jen, for the roses. Really appreciate the 5 roses. Thank you so much. Sheila asks, "Can I get a green card by becoming a nurse?" Possibly, people can, but you have to get sponsored by either like a staffing company or because I don't think on not all hospitals like you actually get hired on by the hospital itself. They most of the time it's through like a staffing agency. Kind of operate like the U.S. government. They don't want liability, so it's something to consider because if you're trying to um, like apply directly to the hospital and you're wondering like, okay, I don't see any positions, but everything in YouTube talking about America, nurses in America, you're like, there should be some positions. That's probably why you probably have to go through a staffing company. Okay, staffing agency. All right, let's see here. Shay, what's up? Can your husband apply for a visiting visa while he waits for I-130 approval? Um, we tell clients if they want to apply for a visitor visa and they already have the petition on file pending with USCIS, most likely it's going to get denied because they'll see it in the system, and when they see it, they'll make the assumption that your spouse is going to overstay their visa. So that's why, hot tip, folks, if you are a fiance, if you're engaged, and yeah, maybe you have plans to get married, wink, wink, then apply for the visitor visa first or ESTA if your country is eligible for it before you get married. Because once you get married, it's kind of like you already, you know, put yourself in a situation where you can't get a visa issuance on that. Okay, hopefully that helps in general. Let's see. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. Marcel Beauty, how long does it take for your petition to transfer to the U.S. Embassy so you get an interview date? So I'm making a safe assumption that your petition just got approved recently, so congratulations on that. But it doesn't get transferred to the embassy, not quite yet. Okay. After the or because of the pandemic, they changed the process, so it's basically in a holding pattern. If you think of it like a plane waiting to land or waiting to depart the tarmac, it's kind of like that. So it's sitting at the National Visa Center. Now, again, if your petition just got approved, then expect an email from the National Visa Center or a paper notice, especially if you don't have an attorney, of a welcome notice. It's like 2 or 3 pages if you receive the paper, and it contains a very important information. Two different numbers that you need to know about. Number one is a new case number. The first 3 characters are letters and a bunch of numbers after that. Okay. And the second number it has is the invoice number. Okay. You need both of them to be able to enter into the government portal, I guess you can say, and pay the fees, $445 if it's one person, one applicant, and then upload financial documents, among other things. Okay. But how long after that? You need to be documentary qualified, and then it takes generally at least 6 months. If you get it sooner, great, great. I'm happy for you, but generally at least 6 months. Some countries, embassies or consulates are have the longer wait, especially Nairobi. I read about Nairobi. Um, is a lot longer due to lack of personnel. Hey, Ashley, you have DACA and work permit. You're both still pending renewal, but your EAD to expired rate. Can you continue working? I have to get back to you on that one because I don't remember if there's an extension notice specific for DACA. If it was something else, let me ask my team real quick if they can get me an answer. Let's see how quick they're able to get back to me. Let's test the systems here. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we'll get back to Ashley. Someone had a question about, I think it was, let me go back here. On YouTube, Kenneth, are we experiencing longer than normal processing times for family-based AOS? Actually, knock on wood, fortunately, no. When there is a delay for us, there's one we have one client that USCIS has already approved the freaking case a year ago, and we submitted an inquiry to Ombudsman office, which is supposed to be technically separate from USCIS, just saying where the hell is the green card? We already submitted inquiry, but in terms of if you're talking about, so I think that's a system glitch in that one. But if you're talking about in general waiting for the decision, yeah, fortunately, we've have, I guess you could say, normal processing times. But if you're experiencing longer than normal, it happens, and you have to be ready. If it's at least 18 months and after you file the 485 application, you might want to consider a lawsuit, a mandamus lawsuit. And it sucks that you have to even consider that. You would think like, oh, you paid a fee already to USCIS that they'll process it timely. For a good amount of people, yes. But sometimes cases get stuck in a black hole and you didn't do anything wrong. So, anyways, 18-month mark for 485 application is what I recommend for mandamus. Okay, Violet, you mentioned your fiance's dad is a citizen. Okay, so let me pull up the visa bulletin since you're on YouTube also, so I can share my screen. Okay, let's see here. All right, now it popped up. Let me share the screen here. There we go. Thank you so much for the questions, folks. I'm going to try my best to go a little faster. Let's see. So let's click on May bulletin right here. So the May 2024 bulletin is the most recent. So your fiance's dad is a citizen. What's the prior date if you're still on? Absolutely, Kenneth. Happy to help. And which country also? But right now, of course, he's not married right now because you said fiance. So F1 sponsors a dad, so that's F1. So if we go here, final action, there's two different charts. Assuming your fiance is abroad, then we look at this chart. Okay, final action chart. So for other than China, India, Mexico, Philippines, if your fiance is from another country, they're working on priority dates from July 2015. Okay. Now, Violet, if you're still on, or anyone else in a similar situation, you might be wondering, well, dadgummit, can I get married? Should I get married to my fiance, or will that affect the case? And hell yeah, it'll affect the case. I'm sorry to tell you. Unfortunately, if you do get married, it's gonna bump it to F3 category, and that's a longer delay, folks. It's ridiculous. They're holding people back when you get married. And so I know that's tough. That's a tough thing. They're working on cases for F3 when people are married and a sponsored US citizen parent. And that's January 2010 versus F1 is July 2015. Isn't that wild? That is ridiculous. Okay, I can go on and on and on about the ridiculousness of the US government, Congress, but that's not what all of this channel is about. So let's get to answer some more questions. Hope you're all doing well today. Okay, Danny on TikTok. Your DACA expires September 1st, 2024. September is almost May. Should you renew your DACA? Well, you still have it valid right now, but yeah, I would go ahead, probably, yeah, May. It's basically May. So I'll go ahead and file the DACA renewal. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't file for AP. You still seem to have just the right enough time. But like if you were telling me like let's say it's August right now, if it were to be August now, then I would say hold off on filing AP. But so it's not a perfect science, unfortunately, especially for DACA on the processing times. Someone asked me what do I think will happen to DACA. I think it will still be protected, but of course conservatives will still use it as a political political talking point, which is ridiculous. Everyone here on the channel, you are all contributing to the American society in one way or another, even if it's paying rent. But somehow conservatives forget that people pay rent. It's pretty wild to me. And you buy food, you gotta pay taxes for that. Buy clothes, you pay taxes for that. It's like they just lost their mind or something. Folks, by the way, folks, by the way, my name is John Ting. If you're just new to the channel, welcome. I practice immigration law. I'm managing attorney of Ting Law Group. I manage a team here in Houston, Texas. We have a physical office. Believe it or not, we do have a Google profile. So we have over out of our two locations, primary location in Houston, we have over 300 five-star reviews. And I'm really thankful of my team because I really actually listen to my training videos and I really think they give top-notch service. So Adriana earlier, she's a client, former client. She recently former client has experienced that five-star service. So let's see here. By the way, if you're interested in continuing this conversation, but for specific for you, okay, you can go to the link on the respective channel and click, especially on TikTok. It's easier to explain about TikTok. Go up there or down here, it shows up. I think it pops up on the live show. Click on a profile, and right underneath the profile picture is a link, and there's a short form, few questions. I don't think it's too much, just to understand a little bit better. And you can self schedule a meeting. Now, there is a reservation fee of this amount. Okay. It's been a couple bad apples that they scheduled and didn't show up. So now we have a reservation fee because some people have politely complained about like, why is the appointment taking so long? So that's why really, like, why is their appointment so far out? And that's because they realize some people don't show up. So really trying to focus, want to help you live and work in America legally. Go figure. But that's what we're here to do. And I have to mention that because some people want to kick some people out. Alrighty, let's see here. Someone asked about H-1B and need to change status. I didn't remember the actual full question. Thank you so much for your questions. Okay. Um, if I'm not able to answer you, by the way, if you're going to copy and paste, if you don't mind, just go ahead and copy and paste and as a message to us. Um, yeah, because I'm not intending to skip anyone. Just TikTok like gets rid of some messages, and that's annoying to both of us, I'm sure. Um, but let's see. So please don't assume I'm skipping you. It's just TikTok like forcing my hand here. And I'll get to y'all on YouTube very quickly or soon. Okay, Tisha Lock Fix. What causes your I-130 to move from 3 months to 26 months? Either you change the category if the sponsor became well, if the sponsor is a family preference category and somehow change the like if you were resident and then excuse my burp there, maybe became a citizen after that. But really, the probable situation is because USCIS sucks and they're not organized. Now, if you're talking more specifically what you saw in your My USCIS account, the webmaster is fooling y'all. Okay, if you're gonna call in to the 1-800-375-5283 number with USCIS, yes, I have it memorized. That's how many times I've had to call over the past 12 years. Okay, if you call in that number, I don't want to say you're wasting your time, but you're wasting your time if you're going to ask them why is it changed on the My US account? They're not going to have a good answer for you. I've asked before because I was curious, and they say it's not. There's no rhyme or reason. In fact, do you really ask yourself if you've been frustrated with the U.S. government, any agency, or your local state agency? Okay, and you thought, well, it's the government we're talking about. Shouldn't it be more efficient? Of course, it should be more efficient. But if you're going to think about that of any agency, it's certainly not USCIS. And that's why been a delightful surprise that they have to help them be more efficient on marriage cases, they've actually just had to waive the interview. Like, that's not actually being more efficient. They're just being, I hate to say, a little lazy about the process. But hey, it's beneficial for us, so we'll take it. But if you really think about it, like in your own company, if you have one or you work for a company, they just skip the step. That's not really being more efficient per se. Anyway, that was a little rant. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Yeah, test 007. Yeah, I mean, you could still file for EB, but it just depends if someone did overstay and you want a company to sponsor you and they actually willing to sponsor you, um, and you have overstayed over 180 days, and yeah, that is problematic. But you want to be able to make sure you have a qualifying relative. If this is a little bit over your head, but you know you overstayed your visa by more than 180 days, message us, okay? And put in the message, direct message, webinar and waiver, okay? So we can invite you to that webinar to explain more on that. Hey, what's going on, Wilson? Good to see you. Doing well. How are you, sir? Okay, so Wilson's question is, you've been in this program, the humanitarian parole, for more than 14 months. How is there a way that I can help you? Okay, I think that's your question. Um, you still need a sponsor. The best sponsor in general is through marriage, folks. I know. I don't like to mention it, but some of y'all know this already. But for those that don't know, if you do find your Pookie Bear, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Pookie Bear, you need to follow me on TikTok. Okay, just type in green card guys underscore John. Okay, if you if you are able to find a Pookie Bear that happens to be a U.S. citizen, okay, just happens to be, and it's the right match. Here's the reason why, legally speaking, that is the best case scenario to get legal status, green card, resident status here in America. It's because that is considered an immediate relative category. Let me see if I can pull it up on my screen here. But it waives the unlawful presence. Okay, if you overstayed. Okay, let me see if I can share that add to the stage here. Okay, so here it goes. This is the USCIS Policy Manual, Chapter 8, Inapplicability of Bars to Adjustment, because one of the typical laws is that someone who overstayed their visa cannot get legal status unless you're in one of these categories, like VAWA, immediate relative, which includes a spouse who's a U.S. citizen filing for you. And it says specifically here, I won't read all of them, but there's more for webinar. An adjustment applicant applying as immediate relative may be eligible to adjust status of that of a resident, even if the person is not in lawful status now and has ever continuously failed to maintain lawful status since legal entry in the U.S. Okay, I won't go through all of it, but let me. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea. Shilpa, I don't know what your question is. You just want to know waiver process timing? You need a, is that what your question is? It could take a year. It depends what type of waiver. So Shilpa's question is more about 212E waiver. What do you mean specifically, the waiver, like 601 application? At least a year minimum. Okay, minimum. And maybe even 2 years, 24 months. But what we do is that we recommend file for the um, no objection request, okay, through your local embassy uh, in the United States. We do that first. If that doesn't work, then we apply for waiver, okay. But if you have more specific questions about that, of course, our fees behind helping you file that kind of application, yeah, go. You're on YouTube, so go. I don't know exactly, but and I think all the videos or most of the recent ones have a link at the bottom. Not right now, not this particular video, but after the show, one of our team members adds the link, or on YouTube, you go to the About page as a link where you can go and fill out, answer a few questions. But we don't, for the purpose of more efficiency for our team, we don't hand out the necessarily email. Well, 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 I can't give this email, wecare@johntinlaw.com. But the best thing really to make it more efficient for y'all is best to just answer a few questions on that link on the form. Okay. Let's see. Oh man, TikTok just pushed it down again. I don't know why they do that. Hey Anand, great to hear. Congratulations on your case. I went there April 2023, so a little over a year ago. I just got approved today. Wonderful. Blessings to you. I don't know what it is, but when y'all contact us, and especially when there's a long delay, some people actually they authorize us to file a lawsuit, and then like the same day they'll get some kind of notice, approval notice from USCIS. So that's great. Yes, Shilpa, we can help you for the waiver. Depends on your case, of course, the facts, but please fill out answer a few questions on our form on the link. And so you can go to this link right here on YouTube and Facebook. You can go to that one if you want. Alrighty, let's see here. All right, Chan, let's see what you got here. It won't let me pin it. Okay, at first your timeline was saying 7 months. You uploaded unsolicited evidence. Now it's saying what? 2 months? Okay, that's good, but it's just random. I wouldn't say that they reduced the time just because you uploaded unsolicited evidence. It just doesn't it doesn't have a rhyme or reason. But let us know. Keep us updated, Chan. Okay, hope it works for you. So that's our email ID, okay, Shilpa, but we really recommend not using that. I mean, if you can't find the link to our forum, then you can use that one. Let me see here. We just have a certain process that makes it easier for everyone. Okay, I think the link should work. Okay, this is better. Okay, Shilpa, if you can go to this link I'm just sharing. There you go. Okay, so let me get to some more questions here. Thank you so much for the follow, the subscribing. Really appreciate it. And if I'm not able to answer your question in a timely manner, which is a lot of y'all, because there's a lot of wonderful questions, thank you. And I'm a human. I'm not a bot. I'm not ChatGPT. So please DM us your question, and depending on the question, we may have to ask you to schedule a meeting. Okay, Jen. It won't let me pin the comment, but your hubby filed a U visa case in April 23. Okay, so it's been a year. The 918 application. Okay, got his work permit. Wonderful. So SSN, what's next? 5-year wait minimum in general. Okay. 5-year wait just for the U visa. And then after that, right after 3 years, you file for the 485 application to be a resident. Okay. Now, for us, when we help from the very start of the case, or if a person authorizes us to help in the middle of the case, more or less, we set out a timeline. We actually create what do you call it, like calendar invitations to just check in at certain stages of a case because we don't want because in terms of U visa applying for adjustment 3 years later after you have the U visa, when it gets to the 4th year, you're technically SOL. You can't file to become a resident. So that's a big bummer. But depending on the situation, there are exceptions to the law, fortunately, in most scenarios, but it just depends on timing. Okay. So that's why we create these calendar events. Raisa asked on TikTok, what's the process for expedite for F4? I don't know what stage of the case you are or your family member, but typically there's expedite with the National Visa Center, but not typically not for family preference in general, unless you're at the you getting closer to the priority date or priority date is reached. Sophia, Sophia on TikTok. If you were a victim, if you are a victim of domestic abuse, can you file for citizenship? Not directly. There is no direct pathway from someone who is abused to citizenship, but there is something called VAWA, Violence Against Women Act application. That's an I-360 application, and it does require proof of the abuse. And even if you did not call the police, that is okay. I still recommend it if anyone gets in a situation like this of abuse. I still recommend calling 911. But if you haven't, you guys go see a counselor. We get some kind of report to show that you've been attending these sessions, and then also, for example, a letter from you, okay, describing the situation. I know it's tough. It's tough to revisit the past, but you really have to for a application like this for VAWA. And then after that, you get resident status, and then you can apply for to become a citizen later on. Okay, so you can get there just step by step. Well, let's see here. Sam on YouTube, can you adjust with your 5-year-old USA citizen? Okay, basically, can your 5-year-old sponsor you? No, your 5-year-old. Congratulations on having a 5-year-old. So do I. But your child has to be 21 before they can sponsor you. So that's what, 16, 15, 16 years for you? Okay, well there's your question. There you go. Nurse Laura, thank you for all you do. If you are a nurse, okay, that's my safe assumption. Are non-religious pacifists eligible to become citizens? What is the likelihood of that kind of petition? I've never had to review that kind of requirement, so I um, I think I understand maybe why you asked that because at least in Texas, there's like a church in every corner, or a temple or mosque almost in every other corner. So, but yeah, they don't. If you're just wondering in general and not a religious type of application, like a minister or employee of a religious organization, then yeah, they don't check that, fortunately. Okay, folks, I have a meeting very soon in a couple minutes, so I can probably answer a couple more questions. But in the meantime, you're welcome to copy and paste your question, but as a DM to us, and we'll try our best to we'll try to answer it. It might be a little difficult because of timing, so please bear with us. We do get a lot of questions through DM, and we'll let you know if it'd be more for like a webinar or schedule a meeting. Okay. Let's see here. uh, can Llama's brothers? Can you petition for your parent for their residency? You're 25 and they came here illegally 26 years ago. Okay, so Llama's brothers, I'm making a safe assumption you're a U.S. citizen. Um, but they have to be, so you can file a petition, the I-130, but the second step is, number one, we for us as attorneys, we check if your parents are eligible for an exception, meaning instead of having to, by default, when people have entered the United States without a visa, by default you have to go outside abroad eventually for the visa interview. And if that was the case, you have to file a waiver, the 601 application, 601A, if they're in the US now. Um, but to be eligible for that waiver, not everyone's eligible. It requires a spouse or a parent who's a U.S. citizen or resident. Okay. Adult children who are U.S. citizens do not count as a qualifying relative for the 601A unlawful presence waiver. A lot of people make that mistake. And then by the time you apply, you've already paid what, $700 to $900 to USCIS, and they will not refund you. Another good example of me being on a live show to share these potential problems that you can avoid. So if you didn't know that already, then that's definitely a good cue that you need to contact immigration attorney 101. All right, folks, I need to prep for my meeting very soon. So thank you so much for your questions. Today's Wednesday. I'll try to see if I can join live tomorrow. I should be able to, but go ahead and follow and subscribe on your respective platform, and we'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a good day. Peace.